Is this thing on? Oh boy, I have some hard time. Alright, well, in any event, I'm going to do a review of a simple wedding format. And if you're a high-end DJ and you're kind of particular about every single part of the wedding, this might not be for you. In fact, I've seen some planners that have everything like literally broken down like every 5 minute segments. Most of that comes from the bride and groom, I believe. It doesn't necessarily come from the DJ. So, if that's you, fine. If not, I hope this helps you out. So, the first part, you can see the bride and groom. And I'm typically going to just put the name, the first name. Let me see if I have one that I filled out for the wedding that I did a couple of weeks ago. No, I don't. Oh yeah, well here's one. So I just kind of wrote their name in. So I just basically put in the man's name and the woman's name. I always say the man first, okay? So on all the signage, on all the announcements that I make, it's always Doug and Denise, okay? It's the wedding of Doug and Denise. I never, ever, 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 ever say the woman's name first. So, bride name, groom name. So the parents of the bride and groom typically will be introduced. They may or may not walk in, or they may just be already at their seats, and you might say, hey, I want to say hello and we love you to the parents of the bride, Mr. and Mrs. whomever, parents of the groom, whomever. Maybe the bride and groom had said to you they wanted other people to be recognized. So there's a place for that as well. Now, there is a second sheet that I have someplace. I wonder if it's down here. Yeah, so interesting. Okay, no big deal. All right, so for this video, we're going to say that we didn't do the ceremony. I'll talk about that in a separate video. Typically, until recently anyway, the ceremony was held off-site, usually at the church or some other facility, and they have taken care of all that. So for this example, I'm saying that the reception was from 5 to 9. Okay, so actually that's not right. 5 to 9. That's not the one I want. Here we go. 4 to 9. So a 5-hour reception. So usually what happens is 15 minutes or so before the start, the guests are leaving the ceremony and they're heading over to the reception venue. Some may already be there or they're just arriving. And so Of course, I've arrived an hour early and I've set up. And so if we're doing 4 to 9, I'm playing background music. So as you can see here, upbeat music, some slow, nothing really danceable. We can talk about that on a different video. So we're going to do cocktail music, video, and we're going to do ceremony, video. So you've already established what time you're going to announce the bride and groom. So in this scenario, I have it at 5 o'clock, okay? So you're going to play cocktail hour music from 4 to 5. And then it's time to announce the bridal party. So the bridal party has arrived, and you typically want to take them into the back room or in the back of the room or a separate area. Sometimes the bridal party members, except for the bride and groom, are mingling in on the latter half, the second half of the cocktail hour. They start showing up. Parents are obviously there. Everybody's kind of roaming around saying hello to everybody. So 10 minutes before the meal, now this says dinner. You also are thinking that it's also dinner because immediately after announcing the bridal party, we used to go right into the dinner. Now it's a little different. So right in here, you might want to say 10 minutes before announcing the bridal party. Because you might end up having another 10 to 15 minutes of dancing and toasts and a prayer. So you need to kind of work that out. With the caterer and with the bride and groom, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page as far as when they want the announcements to occur. So usually what I do is prior to the 10 minutes, I'll quickly say, hey everybody, welcome to Doug and Denise's wedding reception this afternoon. Hope everyone is having a great day, great time, however you want to put that. And then you say in about 10 minutes, I'll be announcing the bridal party. We'll have the first dance. There'll be a toast. And then we'll go right into the meal. During the announcement of the bridal party, I'd like everyone to remain seated until I announce the bride and groom. And then I'd like everyone to stand for the bride and groom, and then please remain standing for their first dance and the prayer and the toast. So then you go and you got to gather up everyone that's in the bridal party. Find out where the parents are. Find out if they're going to be coming in and being introduced, or if you're just going to acknowledge them as they're being seated at their table. Now, previously, you would have gotten all the information that you need regarding the names and the order that they're going to be announced. So over here on another sheet of paper, which I'll show in another video, I've got this right here. You probably can't see it. So this is basically a list of the bridal party. So you have the parents, you have the groomsmen and bridesmaids, you have the flower girl, the ring bearer, representing the bride and groom, the maid of honor, and the best man. And then, ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. Here they are, together at last, as husband and wife. Mr. and Mrs. Doug and Denise. You can kind of word that out any way you want. So with this in hand and already filled out from your previous conversations, you need to line everybody up in the order that they're going to be announced, and you want to go over the pronunciation of everyone's name. So that whole process should take 10 minutes. Of course, you want to have had a couple of songs queued up in your prepare section of Serato or whatever you use, so that there's no break in the music. And don't forget, you also need to have your music queued up, or at least easily accessible by the time you return. Now you may be allowed a minute or two, right? You may come back and the crowd is still in the cocktail hour mode and they're still all standing around. And you may have previously wanted to say, please take your seats as we're getting ready to announce the bridal party in about 10 minutes. Please remain seated during the course of the event, the announcements, until we get to the bride and groom, etc., etc. So you might be able to come back and still have a couple of minutes to say, hey, everybody, once again, please, everyone go to your table, go to your seats. We're ready to announce the bridal party. The bridal party is ready to go. They're hyped up, and we hope you're all hyped up as well. And then if you kind of don't really have a problem searching for music, you can just go ahead and do your searches. If you're like Nick Spinelli or some other DJs and you need to have all your crates and spend hours and hours putting crates together so you have your music together, I mean that's on you. I don't really make crates anymore. I used to. I still do sometimes if I have the time, but I have all the songs named and they're easy to find, so I really don't need to worry too much about that. So again, everyone take your seats as we're ready to announce the bridal party. So for the bridal party, for the parents, okay, if the parents are going to come in, I don't play any music for the parents. I say, first I want to acknowledge the parents of the bride, Mr. and Mrs. Denise, and just let them walk in. People might clap. If you want to play music, you can. I really don't. A lot of times they're not announced. They're already at their seat, so you just kind of point them out. You say, hey, over here at this table, I'd like to say hello to the parents of the bride. And then you definitely want to say their names. I've had issues in the past where people got upset. You know, the bride or groom said they weren't going to announce their names, and then the parents got upset because their names weren't said. So I would almost always insist on acknowledging them, either with their first names or with Mr. and Mrs. or however they want to be announced. You might have to do that on the sly, but it's something that you definitely want to keep an eye on. So then once that's taken care of, you want to go into the bridal party song. So I still play Get Ready for This, and I still play Breezin', but I also play a lot of other songs. And I mean, at this point with stems, I mean, you can pretty much play anything. But I also rarely have separate songs for each member or each pair. I just play that one song. First, we'd like to introduce the bridesmaids and groomsmen. We have, let me see, grab some names here. You know, we got Joe and Jennifer. And as each couple walks in, just blast the volume as loud as you can and then fade it back down. Next is, you know, groomsman John and bridesmaid Jennifer. And then blast the song up again. Everybody claps. Fade the song down. Next one, blast the song again, the volume. Bring it down. So you're going through this list right here. All right, so you're doing bridesmaids, groomsmen, and I often say first it's John. It's okay. So I made a mistake. So it is the woman. So it's Jennifer escorted by John, and then it's Mary escorted by Joe, and so on and so on. And then you want to say, and next we have the lovely flower girl and the handsome ring bearer. Now you can say flower girl name, ring bearer name. You can say name, flower girl name, ring bearer. You can say name, flower girl and ring bearer. It's however you want to do it. No one really cares at this point. So most of the time I'll just say, here's the flower girl, Melissa, and the ring bearer, Timmy. And then they come out and blast the song again. And then I always used to say, representing the bride and groom, the maid of honor, and the best man. And then Janet Jones and Richie Cunningham. Yay! And then blast the music again. Again, you're playing the same song. And then at that point, you're going to fade this song out. And then you're going to go for the bride and groom. You're going to play their song. I still play Rocky's theme, Love's theme. I play the old Johnny Carson Tonight Show theme. I've also had many requests for Thunderstruck. And I usually cue it in about 30 seconds when the beat starts. And, I mean, there's a bunch of other stuff you can play. I played Collide a couple weeks ago. And that was kind of a surprise. I played, let's see, what else did I play? Okay, Garter, last song of the night, type of music, line dances. Let's see, Brad Paisley. Just looking at some notes on some of these. Do not play, ceremony, cocktail, bride and groom. So, let's see. So last year in May, I played Hooked on a Feeling by Blue Suede. They were a little bit of an older couple, but I guess that doesn't really matter too much. And then the more recent one, I played Van Halen Hot for Teacher. And then there was another one that I played back in January. I don't know that I have that written down here anyway. Oh, here we go. So You Really Got Me, Van Halen. I played that back in February. I did a wedding in February, and they wanted You Really Got Me. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to introduce to you Mr. and Mrs. Haddon. So, yeah, I mean, whatever they want is what I play. And again, so here they are, Mr. and Mrs. Doug and Denise. Play that song loud. And then a couple moments after they come in, depending on what's happening. So again, in the old times, it was always they went right to their seats. Then we had the prayer and a toast, and then you had the first dance after dinner. More and more couples, as you probably know, are having their first dance right after they're announced. So that means you have to have that song get ready to go anyway. And I've also been doing a lot of ceremonies. So you have 3 or 4 songs for that as well. So I actually have been using crates last couple years for that. But Um, so for this wedding that I did, I played "You Really Got Me," and then we went right into "Easy to Love" by Theory of a Dead Man. So that was right as they were announced. So again, you're going to fade out the introduction song, cue up their first dance song, and then play that. This has kind of changed too. It used to always say grace, then it was prayer, then it was moment of silence, then it was grace, prayer. There's another word I can't think of. So you want to get that arranged in advance. So the job I did, they had a Father Gregory did the blessing is the other word. So grace, prayer, blessing, moment of silence. Everybody's doing something different these days. So announce that. Again, if they want to use your microphone, fine. If not, no big deal. And then the toast. So again, you're going to have that kind of planned in advance on who's going to do that. So this particular job, it just says toast and blessing, groom's sister Maria. So, okay, so that's a different one than the Father Thompson, I think. Yeah. So on this one, Father Thompson was doing it. On this one, it says the groom's sister Maria was going to do the blessing and the toast. So just make sure you get all that worked out in advance, because if you don't, you're going to run into problems. So at this point, you move into the dinner. And I play mostly slow songs, some slow, fast songs, some instrumentals. Nothing in particular. Sometimes they request things to be played all during this time. I had a job I did last year, and they literally put together the entire night for me. So I just played the songs in the order that they gave me, and then later in the night I sort of was allowed to mix them up. They also gave me a do not playlist right here. And then they gave me this list right here. So this has the guests arriving, no music, wedding ceremony, canon in D, flower girl, she wanted it you, end of ceremony, I got you, James Brown, cocktail hour, no requests. So she had this whole section right here of what I was to play during the cocktail hour. Then the announcement was Hooked on a Feeling, the dinner time, the toast, blessing, the dinner. Again, no requests. She gave me a whole list. This is dinner. And then this is the dance section right here. And everything's timed out. And then more dance stuff for the end of the night. So that was an interesting and easy one to do. And I had another guy recently do this. And this was his main list. He also gave me the do not playlist. And then he gave me all the introduction and first dance stuff. So he told me what to play for the toast, the last song, entrance songs, processional, recessional, cake cutting, So that was fine. I was fine with that. So after dinner, you may or may not do the first dance. Then you do the bride and father, groom and mother, and then a bridal party dance if requested. And then usually about halfway through, we invite the crowd to join. And I always play another slow song right here. Even if they say they don't want one, I say it's just part of the deal. It's got to be what it's got to be. So this song is typically wah, 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 that's what friends are for. In good times and bad times, I'll be on your side. So this is usually that's what friends are for right here. And then I play at least one slow song. I sometimes play two, or even I've played 3 and 4 at sometimes. You know, if you have 100 people that are dancing and they're like, yeah, this is great, then you just keep doing it. And then 4 is probably the max, though, the limit. So then I have general dancing. It could be 15 minutes. It could be 45 minutes, depending on the timing. It could be longer. But this is one of the most important things. At least 1 hour before the end of the function, you have to do these final events, right? You have to do the cake. If you haven't done the cake already, which typically you didn't unless it was for dinner, you got to do the cake here. Did I say dinner? I meant dessert. If the cake is for dessert, then oftentimes they'll do it right after the meal. The cake is rarely for dessert, so usually we go right into the dancing. But an hour before the event is over, so in this case, 8 o'clock, we got to start getting this together. And a lot of times throughout the night, you know, you're chasing the bride and groom around, trying to make sure that they're ready for this stuff, because a lot of times they're not. And so you just want to gently remind them, hey, you know, it's 7:50. We want to get that cake cutting going here in a little while, and then the bouquet. And you know, we've been at the meal for quite a while now. We got to get this. We got to get these first dances finished up. We want to do the bride and father next. Are you going to be ready for that soon, or so? Just kind of keep in communication with them so they don't think that you're not paying attention. That's the worst thing you want to have happen, is for them to think, oh yeah, this DJ's not paying attention to anything. We were supposed to do the cake at 8 o'clock and we didn't do it till 8:20, and then by the time we got done we only had 20 minutes left for dancing, and it can get pretty hairy sometimes. So you definitely need to keep an eye on that. So at this point with the general dancing, so right after that, play the best you have, okay? Play the best you have, right? This is like your power hour. If you've ever been a nightclub DJ like I have, your power hour is 11:30 to 12:30. That's when you play your best music. This is when you play, you know, whatever gets the crowd going, whatever anthems you need to play. If it's, you got to play disco or an 80s song or some modern, you know, big room, you play your best. Now that doesn't mean you don't move around from genres, right? I mean, I play disco, I play classic rock, I play oldies and Motown, I play big band only if it's requested. I play 80s, I play 90s, whether it's hip hop or whether it's techno or house or dance. If it's from the 2000s, you know, maybe they want to hear Sexy Back. I mean, who knows? Maybe they want to hear Dynamite. Maybe they want to hear Black Eyed Peas. Maybe they want to hear Taylor Swift. So you've kind of gotten a little bit of a list of what they want to hear. Like on this job, they've got Love Shack, Usher, yeah, Living on a Prayer, Prince, Salt and Pepper, Push It, Bobby Brown, Every Little Step, Steppenwolf, Elvis. So I would say out of this page right here, I mean, I would probably go with, oh boy. I would probably go with either Push It or Love Shack. And yeah, that's probably what I do for their request. Now, if I didn't have a request list from them, then let's see, what would I do? Here's another one. Hey Ya is another good starter. Good Vibrations is on here, December 63. This is How We Do It. Dynamite. So play the best you have, right? Don't save it for later. Play it now. If they missed out and they want to hear it again, they'll let you know. I don't have a problem playing the same song twice. I mean, I don't like it, but if that's what they want, I don't have a problem. It doesn't rarely ever happen, so it's not a big deal to worry about. And then if you need to mix it up, play a disco, play Respect. And if that doesn't work, oh, that's not disco. I'm sorry, that's Motown. If that doesn't work, play Staying Alive, right? That's disco. If that doesn't work, play Love Shack or Living on a Prayer. If that doesn't work, you could play You Shook Me All Night Long, right? You could play December 63. If that doesn't work, you could play Good Vibrations. So just kind of want to move through there. If you find out after a couple songs that the classic stuff's not working, go right into the modern stuff, and play the best you have of modern that you think the crowd will like. That's what you got to do. So once we get to the hour before the function is over, move to cutting of the cake. I don't usually ask anything about this. I play How Sweet It Is, or I just play Cut the Cake by, what is that, Average White Band. But if they request, maybe one of these is good, or maybe they have something else they want. And I don't know what you guys think. Maybe you could mention in the comments. I always have trouble with this because I'm not sure if I'm supposed to herd everybody up to where the cake is and kind of gather around, or if everybody just kind of sits in their seats or they stand up. I've seen it done all those ways. Sometimes people just don't want to get out of their seats, and the couple doesn't really care, and so however it works out, it works out. Other times, yeah, everybody wants to jump up and run towards the cake and bring their cameras, and I've said that too. I've said, hey, come on everybody, let's celebrate the bride and groom once again with the cutting of the cake ceremony. Make sure you stand up, walk over to the cake area where they're at. Bring your cameras. Make sure you get good pictures of them doing the cutting of the cake ceremony. And then it's going to take a minute, right? So hopefully the bride and groom, you can tell them to just kind of chill out for a second. Maybe you could do the announcement first for the crowd, and then have the couple come over. And by that time, the crowd is built up. But yeah, so either way it works for you. That's what you want to do. And then you're not really directing anything, so once everything is ready to go, I just play Cut the Cake, or I just play whatever song it is, and I play it in the background, kind of not low, but not blasting. So they do whatever they're going to do with that. Typically they get some help from the caterer as well, so I pretty much just stay out of that. And then after that, you're going to have previously spoken to the bride and groom about the bouquet and garter. More and more events that I've been doing lately, they don't do that anymore. In fact, the one I did in April, Bouquet toss, no. Garter, no. Garter toss, no. That was the one. That was the one in February. And then this one in April. Let's see, where's John? I don't remember if we did that or not. Oh, here we go. Toast and blessing faithfully. Special dances. Mother, daughter. Last song. Yeah, I don't think we did that either. We did the cake. Toast, dinner music, special dances, wedding reception. Line dances, yes or no. Primary ceremony. Yeah, we didn't do that in February either. And we didn't do it in the April one that I have somewhere. So, in any event, you work that out with them, whether or not you're going to do the bouquet. And the instructions are right here. Garter, same thing. Play legs is Rod Stewart, I guess. Oh no, that's ZZ Top. Feels So Good is a horn player, I think, and then Hot Legs is Rod Stewart. Groom throws the garter, same procedure. I used to play the stripper all the time. Again, I haven't done this in so long. I don't even know if there's a better song out there. I mean, I'm sure there is. You can probably just Google it or chat GPT it. And again, some of this stuff is kind of old. You know, we want to add in the, because we always get requests for it, the cha-cha slide. So on here I have YMCA, yes. The twist, yes. Teach Me How to Dougie, no. Gangnam Style, no. Wobble, no. Train, no. Hustle, no. Chicken Dance, yes. Cha-cha slide, no. Cupid Shuffle, no. So I should probably add some of these onto here, but you should be okay with that. And so one of the other things that we do that a lot of them like, some don't, is the circle dance at the end. And sometimes they'll have other plans. So for example, the job I did in April, they wanted the Final Countdown by Europe to play as the last song. And some of the other ones, like the one I did one in October, and they actually had the Sparkler send-off. So they had a last song, I think it was Shout, and then they had everybody move outside to do the Sparkler send-off, and then they did another song, just them. I think it was a slow song. And then they did the Sparkler send-off. So there wasn't really, and we were kind of running out of time in that job. There wasn't really any time to do We Are Family with the big circle dance, but they had already jammed for a while, so they had a blast doing that one. So in this other job, let me see if I can find the last dance. So Paradise, was it Paradise? I think she wanted Paradise by the Dashboard Light as the last song. Yep. So that was interesting. This other one, which was in July, doesn't have anything. Oh yeah, last song, Hit the Road Jack. So again, not a real opportunity. Now I know some DJs play We Are Family in the middle during the dancing section. Some don't play it at all. So I mean, I try and put it in there, but I'm kind of old school. But yeah, so he's got Hit the Road Jack, last song there. And then over here, This guy wanted Europe, the final countdown. We went over that. And then this guy wanted, let's see, Do Not Play, September, Man in the Box, Special Dances. Okay, so they wanted Shook Me All Night Long by AC/DC as the last song of the night. So there you go. But in any event, if you do get to do We Are Family and you do have a really big crowd, it ends up being really great because it's not only the dance part itself, but then you can, after a minute or so, you can get everybody to get into a circle and kind of have this big, intimate, not intimate, but, get together, gathering everybody. I guess one of the problems is sometimes people leave early, so you don't get as many people involved. So if you want to do it early in the night, you can. It doesn't really matter at this point. I don't really think this part matters as much. Circle dance is nice. Doesn't necessarily have to be this song, I guess. But I have the extended version, the one that came off the vinyl. It's actually 8 minutes long. So it has the first 4 minutes is the regular radio version or the 7-inch version. And then it has this whole extended 4 minutes, which is just instrumental and just all kinds of cool stuff going on. And never forget the first time, many, many, many years ago when I put that on. I had forgotten about the circle dance. And they did the first couple minutes, and then they just kind of formed the dance themselves, and then they started doing all this stuff back and forth during the instrumental portion, the back part of the 4 minutes. So I thought that was pretty cool. You maybe not. So that kind of talks about the end of the night. Again, there might be a sparkler send off. There might be an intimate slow song. There might be, a high energy big room song. It just all depends. And then one other thing that we still do from time to time is the money dance or the dollar dance. So have the men and women form 2 lines. The maid of honor and the best man help out. And then they let each person dance with the bride and groom for 30 to 60 seconds or whatever. And each person puts some money in the hat or, whatever you have, whatever you're using for that. And then that's pretty much it. So the only other thing that I see from this other sheet is pretty much what's up here. First dances, toes, pronunciations. Okay, I ever get ready for this. Yeah, I guess that's it. So, all right, well, guys, that's it. So thanks for watching.